So, today I want to welcome to the. I gotta have a cool name. Welcome to here. um, so, I've got a daughter that's in. Currently, she's in third grade. Her name's Ashley. And I've had some really good conversations with her lately. I've had some really good conversations with her. Just we'll talk about like stuff she learns at school, and talk about just like stuff that she thinks, and just starting to see her be able to develop her the way that she thinks, and it's been really neat to see how she has been becoming more analytical and no longer just believing everything, but actually starting to think about things and starting to figure things out for herself, and that's been really fun to see. There's a book that she got she got from the library. That was, I don't remember the name of the book. It didn't matter, but I remember hearing her read it, and it was talking about global warming, and it talked like 3 or 4 different times about global warming, and I was just like, what book are we reading here? Like, what is this? And because you got to be very careful, because the indoctrination starts early, especially in any form of public schools. Um, but I was talking to her, and I was like, "Well, what's global warming?" And I asked her about it and stuff, and she talked about it at school a bit, and I asked her what she knew, and I asked her where she got what she knew, and what she thought, and she was explaining to me that how it gets hotter, and so it causes more snow, and it causes this and this and this, and I was just like, that first principle, I was like, wait a second, you're telling me it gets hotter, and so there's more snow? How does that work? And she was like, well, you see, it gets hotter, and she tried to explain it the way that it was taught to her, and I'm probably pretty loud. And she tried to explain it, but it wasn't. She didn't know how to explain it, and I was like, I let her explain it the best she could, and asked her like, does that make sense to you? Like, does that make sense? And she's like, no, not at all. And I was like, okay, I mean, there are things that are complex that we don't understand, that don't make sense intuitively, but are correct, and so like we can't just say that means it's wrong, but if it's not making sense, we also need to question and figure out and find out. We need to dig a little deeper, and we started talking about it, and basically I was she looked at me. She's like, okay, Dad, well, I have this, my teacher telling me this thing, and you're telling me this thing, and I'm like in the middle. I don't know what to believe. And I was like, I know exactly what you mean, and it was just really neat to talk to her and share with her some of my perspective and say, really, here I shared with her like the big red flags that I have, which are you can see that global warming is used to control behavior. It's used to control someone's behavior, and that's something that obviously can be very extremely used and abused. And then you also see another thing that you see is you see a consensus. You see people acting as if they know for sure, and then they speak confidently, but yet they don't know what they're talking about. They're just confident. And that's always a red flag as well, is when somebody is really confident, but yet they don't know why they're confident. They don't know the details of what they're explaining, and they can't explain simple questions. Then they really don't know what they're talking about, and you shouldn't trust them. You should dig deeper. And then the other part of it, I talked to her about my background in computer science, and how I've used modeling and stuff like that, and I've seen how modeling can be used incorrectly, and how it can be used maliciously, and it can be used in a way that gives you what you want to see, but just meets the criteria, but isn't actually accurate. And so I told her I was very skeptical of of climate change and of global warming and that kind of stuff. And then I did tell her as well that just because I'm skeptical of it doesn't mean I don't think we should take care of the earth. Like, we should take care of things. Like, we should definitely clean up. We don't want to be leaving pollution. We don't like you want to protect, be conservation minded, but you don't want to necessarily believe everything you hear just because everybody says it. And that's so I tried to give her a good perspective on that, and it was really fun to have that discourse with that conversation, and it was really fun to see her really kind of try and understand things. This happened maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, or something like that. And then just a few days ago, there was another conversation that we talked about. Excuse me. And the conversation was about how when she had been learning about abuse and about like child abuse and stuff like that, and I was like, obviously we want her to learn about that. We want her to learn to know what to be protective of herself and stuff like that. She's growing, and she's in third grade, and so we talked about it, and she told us like, okay, we learned about these different types of abuse and these different types of abuse, and it was interesting. One of the things that she brought up was neglect, and obviously it's a form of abuse. It's very bad, but one of the things that she brought up specifically was including healthcare in neglect, and I thought that was interesting how they were including, if a child doesn't receive healthcare, then that's a form of neglect, and that was interesting to me to think about, because on one hand I definitely agree with it that you want to take care of your kids, and if they break their arm and stuff, and you want to take them to the doctors, you want to get stuff taken care of. But you also have, like in Canada just recently, there's a 14-year-old kid who was saying they were transgender, and the Canadian state or whatever, the government took the child away from the parents and said it was a child abuse for them to not allow that kid to get on hormone block or I don't remember if it was either he wanted a transition surgery, or if he wanted just hormone blockers, or if he wanted something more damaging, which you have these puberty blockers that can be very damaging, and not just physically but also psychologically and stuff like that to an individual that's growing, and it's like the parents didn't support that. They didn't want to let their kid make these life-changing things that will make you sterile go for be he wasn't ready to make that choice, and the government said, oh nope, that's neglect. And it's like, whoa, that's putting like the cart before the horse. That's one of those things where it's just really sketchy, and it opens up a whole new door. And so I talked to her a little bit about that, and it was interesting how I didn't get into the details because she's still too young for some of that topics. But it was kind of interesting to hear how you can have these good intentions, but it also opens up a door for abuse, like anything, and it just leads me to think of how the whole nanny state, the whole reducing the responsibility of the individual in our culture has opened up a place for abuse of family and abuse of in a lot of different ways, because it's very easy to see that allowing someone who's going through puberty and who's having these identity crises and having these, like, just in that time that's really turbulent in life, allowing them to make decisions for it. You don't let them drink because that damages their development. You don't let them smoke because that damages their development. But yet you want to let them have these puberty blockers, or you want to let them take these hormonal treatments to have a different basically to change the reality of what they live. And instead of teaching them and instead of embracing them, instead of making them, counseling them and helping them see a mentor, helping them see somebody that can make their life grow, you allow them to permanently change their life, and then you claim that it's neglect if they're not listening, or if the parents aren't in accord. And that's a dangerous precedent to set. And so those are things that, I mean, my third grade my third grade daughter, she was just, it's very important to talk to your kids about what they learn at school, to talk to them and to be a parent and to be there to help them navigate and help them to realize that they don't have to believe everything. They shouldn't believe everything. They should think for themselves. They should learn to reason, and that's part of growing up and becoming an adult, is learning how to discern one thing over another. And so that's something that they really start at a young age. And it's very important to keep an eye out for. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to say. I'm surprised that I've got anybody watching. I expected to just edit this later, but I thought I'd go live since it's been so long since I've streamed. But I appreciate the people that have stopped in. And with that, I'm going to finish with something that I made just a little bit ago, and I hope you like it. All right, have a good night, everybody. Oh, it's Bob's Town Trees. Let's see. Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. I'm glad that the sound. I'm glad that the sound. Let's see. The sound is doing well. It has been a while. It has been a while, man. And it's one of those things that I've been sick. I actually recorded a video a while back while I was sick, and I haven't put it up because it's probably garbage. But I thought of going through and editing it. There was some good stuff in it, but it's just I had a runny nose and stuff, and it was just kind of funny. But yeah, I've been looking at maybe cutting up some of the stuff that I've got and putting it in a little better, and I'm gonna just kind of take it and learn as I go. I'm new at this, but it's been fun, and I'm not giving up on it. I think it's 2 weeks or so I apologize on that, but it's been good to it's been a fun thing to do. Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I really just wanted to talk about a few of the conversations I had with my daughter, and one of the things my wife mentioned is that it would be good for me to tell some of the stories. My daughters were asking me about stories of my childhood, and I started just going off and telling some stories, and they were like, my wife's like, yeah, you should record those because someday in the future the kids will enjoy them. And so I'll probably put out a few stories and just stupid stuff that's way fun, that I don't know, random. I was teaching him how my uncle took me water skiing in a canal where he pulled me behind a van and stuff like that, and just random stuff. Me and my brothers would shoot we had a wall full of posters, and we would shoot the wall with our BB guns. And my brothers, they all had gone when we moved out of that house, and I was there with my parents and my younger siblings, and they were too young to be involved in it and stuff. But I was the only one there that was actually participated in the shooting the BB guns at the wall, and so I had to clean up all of the all the BBs out of the wall. I'm thinking about it. I'm sure my parents could have just painted over it or puttied them in and stuff, but they made me pick out every BB, and it was like there were hundreds of them. It was Just fun stuff. Life's awesome. Um, Man, I watched Owen's debate, the from today, with Anomaly and with Andrew. I don't know that guy's name. That was the Jewish guy, and it was good. Like I don't know. I've been really enjoying Vox and Owen have been really. I don't know. There's something about when people are searching for truth that just resonates. It's a good um, atmosphere, a good vibe. Even when they say things that are like you're like, oh, I don't know if I agree with that and stuff, but you know that they're sincere and you know that they're looking for what's right and stuff. Yeah, I agree. Owen was way good on it, and it was good that he pinpointed, like there was a few times where he was like, "Hey, but you didn't answer the question," and Owen gets all fiery and stuff, which is funny, but he definitely had a good take on it, and it was neat to listen to. There was a video recently that I watched from Blackpilled as well. That was his one on white on Office Space, and he talked about white culture a little bit. I don't know if he called it white culture, whatever. But he was talking about how the reactions, you know, and he talked a little bit going through Office Space and just how the different people reacted to things, and it was really Blackpill. He's on point too. He's got some really interesting stuff that I like his perspective a lot, where he's looking at, like, he looks a lot at culture and how it's changed. Some of his analysis over um, old videos and old movies and stuff is really kind of cool, and the production quality is really cool. And that's something that, like, I'm doing rinky dinky stuff with just whatever I know. I program and stuff, and so I know how to do complex stuff in that sense. But video editing and that kind of stuff. Yeah, Office Space is a great show. It's such a good show. I don't know much about, like, the the director of it, but I guess he's this blue collar guy that he's only directed a few movies. That was one of the, like, his only popular movie that he's directed, and the reason it resonated so well with people is because I don't know about blue collar, but he's just a normal guy. But because he understood just, like, life, and that's one of the things that I think drew me to Owen, is that he's worked with his hands. He's like, I grew up doing construction and stuff with my dad. My dad's a general contractor, and then I went to school and got into programming, and so I've seen both blue collar and white collar. I don't know if you call them the right stuff, but there's the people who have actually worked with your hands, worked in real life. There's something that really resonates that Owen brings, that I think that's one of the things that really draws me to Owen is his comedy, and I like, but I probably resonate more with him when he talks about, like, how about building fences, about his kids, about life, and being a real person instead of, like, just the comedy stuff. It's good, man. That's that's excuse me. That's such an important part of life, is just the day-to-day interactions with your family, with your kids, with your friends, and your community. Those are the things that really make life. They bring the quality to anybody's life, and that's why when you see things that are like breaking up families, when you see legislation that really incentivizes single mothers, and when you see legislation that when we fund, like, Planned Parenthood and stuff, it's it's heartbreaking, because you want to help people that are in need, but you know that is being subverted and and damaging people, when that's not the goal. That's not what we want. We want to help people, but we don't want to enable bad, just evil. We don't want to enable evil. We don't want to enable uh, the hard things in life that are Like when you don't learn to be responsible, life just gets hard. It gets hard for you, and that's just one of those things. I keep rambling, but have a good night. Um, I hopefully I'll have some more stuff up later this week, but we'll kind of see how it goes. Hey, have a good one. Take care.